Welcome to Shero Sessions as we wind down Mental Health Awareness Month. We have a special guest joining us today. Just tune in. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you, Dr. Dan?
I'm We have a good connection. 1 second.
Seems that you guys are frozen there.
Are you listening?
Let me coming back there. Hi, Monique.
Hello.
I think Dr. Dan is a little frozen there.
Can, can you see me now?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. I apologize for the technical difficulties on my end.
Oh, no worries. No worries at all.
Looks
How are
like
you?
I had some. You're perfectly fine.
Yes, it's hard to live in this tech modern era without technical difficulties. So we're flexible.
Always,
Thank you.
always. Nah, it's good to see both of you all's faces. I mean, this is good wrapping up May and mental health awareness. Danielle, I know I heard you kind of doing a little intro as I was logging in here. So it's just a good season, good time and place to be together. But yeah, no, definitely just thank you, Dr. Daniels, for stepping in and giving us some of your time today as we're wrapping up. Yeah. And I know we've known each other for some time, and with Danielle and I collaborating and doing what we're doing with this mission of the Shero Plan and the Squad Giving Circle, everything is it just feels so aligned to have people in a network that are doing different things, but we're all working along the same journeys to just like solve some big issues, right? So I guess we could probably just jump right in and Lisa, if you'll tell us just like your background and how you arrived at this place of being a sports psychotherapist. What is that? How'd you get here?
Yes.
Just talk to us.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and it's been quite a journey. So I grew up, I'm a native Washingtonian. I grew up in Northeast Washington, D.C., and I was a classically trained ballet dancer. And so ballet was just a huge part of my life, all of my life. And then I went to the University of Virginia, where I earned a bachelor's in sociology and a master's of teaching in special education. It was while I was at UVA, my second year of college, I was in a near fatal car accident where I had sustained a traumatic brain injury. So I had to relearn my name, how to read, write, walk, everything. And that was just really traumatizing, which it changed my career trajectory entirely. And that's when I said, well, you know what? I wanted to pursue my master's of teaching in special education, where I can provide greater support to students with special needs. And when working as a special educator, I really was able to witness how transformational sports were to students. And that's when I said, okay, you know what? I want to get on the other side and learn how how can I support athletes how to become a clinician? And that's when I enrolled in the counseling psychology program at Howard University. I earned counseling psychology. And then after finishing, and what about sports, I will also say, is just a vehicle to able to
Are we hearing some interference?
We're having a little difficult. Maybe 10 seconds of it. Sorry.
I know it's like it's going in with the internet. Oh no! I hope we don't lose her.
Uh-oh. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you, but it's a still shot and it's a little glitchy.
Okay. Maybe what I'll do, perhaps it could be my Wi. Let me see if I can change my, like, disconnect.
That might fix it. And man, it felt like we were getting to the good part, because I'm like, man, anytime life experiences like shift your journey, I feel like that's when you know you're in alignment and you're doing like life's work, you know. So that's what
The
I could
game.
hear. And I know she's working on it.
Yes, I know she's working on it. And just the background we've heard so far, such a relatable story, like you said, Monique, that shift in life, that's when you start to really work in your passion, what's true to your heart.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I have the injury story myself too, because I didn't. Oh,
Am I back in the building?
Yeah.
We back.
you back? No,
So sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so what happened? Where did you lose me? Where did I
so
stop?
you were saying how you shifted once you had the brain injury from your accident, and just understanding you wanted to see how sports really could impact just people's health and well-being.
Yes.
Well, that's actually after having, so I was on the dance team at the University of Virginia, and dance, athletics, it's always been just dance was just a huge part of
Mm-hmm.
my life. So it was a huge part of my identity that helped me build and develop and further my self-esteem. And so it was after having this accident, that's where I said, I'll get the master's of teaching in special education. And working as a special educator, I was able to really even see furthermore how athletics was just that place where students could really thrive, where they had that safe haven. I worked in inner city schools. And so I said, well, you know what? I want to be able to get on the other side as a clinician. And I wanted to be able to develop those skills so that I could be able to further advocate for students and families. And so that's when I then pursued the PhD in counseling psychology at Howard University. And upon completion of my PhD in counseling psychology, I then pursued additional coursework at the University of Western States in applied sports psychology, where I took on additional coursework as well as a mentorship. My mentor's name is Dr. Wendell Otto. He is a certified mental performance consultant. And so I wanted to be able to acquire the skills and the training so that I could then pursue my CNPC. And so I completed the coursework, and the CNPC is a designation by the Association of Applied Sports Psychology. So it suggests that the person has attained the highest training or credentials to be able to provide performance consultations for persons, whether athletes, performers. It can also include other executives in any type of career where there's a performance component as well as athletics. And so that's when I then did, so I completed my coursework in applied sports psychology, and I also completed the mentorship. Now I'm in the process of where I have to then take my certification exam for the CMPC. So I just received clearance for that, and that's a celebration. I'm
Look
excited about that. With
at you,
regard
like, where's that at?
And so, with regard to as me being a sports psychotherapist, I do have one more. So, for a person who would be interested in coming into this field, I am supervised by a licensed psychologist. I work under the supervision of a licensed psychologist. So, I have one more. So, actually, another exam in psychology, which is called the EPPP. And so, once I take that exam and pass that exam, then you can say I'm a licensed clinical sports psychologist. So that is coming. So one thing, and I'll even speak to that I did along my journey, is that I decided I wanted to have a family. And so as it comes with me just pursuing the PhD and so on in my education, I had other goals as far as I knew that I wanted a family. I have a daughter. Her name is Madison Daniels. She's 3 years old. And my husband, Quentin Daniels, who both have been extremely supportive of me along my journey. And this is where I am here today.
So where did our university athletics piece, like how did that get introduced in your journey?
Okay, so Howard University came into my, so Howard has just been a transformational part of just who I am, my identity that helped me further develop as a professional and as a person. So when I completed the PhD in counseling psychology at Howard University, I completed a practicum, an externship, and an internship, an APA accredited internship at Howard University Counseling Services. I also completed externship and training at the VA, at Kennedy Krieger, which is affiliated with Johns Hopkins, and at the DC Superior Court Child Guidance Clinic. And so Howard, I just had the opportunity to work with athletes. I was able to get the position in the athletic department as a sports psychotherapist, and then be able to, where I work with teams, coaches, athletes, and it's just been amazing. My work has truly been supported by Howard University Counseling Services. So I have a position. My position is within the Department of Athletics and Howard University Counseling Services.
Did they come to you or did you pursue it? I never asked that.
No, I would say I pursued it. I saw an opportunity that I wanted, and this was a great fit, and this was a place where I wanted to be, and I believed I would thrive, and I'm thriving. I love it, and I believe the program here is thriving, is doing very well.
What was that thing that made you want to pursue that in Howard's athletic department? Was there something that just happened all of a sudden that sparked you, or was it just a great opportunity that you saw?
Well, it was both. I think it's a both and. It's both the opportunity that was present and available, while also having the connection here with the counseling services, where I received extremely rigorous training, but then also the understanding of the cultural context through which we exist. That in the way that I wanted to be able to support athletes and also see that they're not monolithic in any way, and being able to, I acquired the skills, the supervision, the mentorship, and the support to be able to do my job.
Yeah. You're the first psychotherapist on Howard's athletic staff or no?
Well, Howard, the counseling service is a huge part. Howard University Counseling Services has been offering counseling services and service the entire population, including both athletes and all students. So my position was, I guess, a newer position, but I think it would be inaccurate to suggest like I'm just the first person to service athletics, because that's not really entirely true. I think now it's a formal position that this position created, which was new.
No, that makes. I guess I'm just curious. You see it structured differently at different institutions, so didn't know if it was like athletic specific, but it sounds like it's more of a campus wide. But you just fit that kind of niche of athletics, and were able to expand to that.
So I'm within, actually, my
Okay.
position is within the Department of Athletics. That is correct. It's within the Department of Athletics and the counseling services. However, the Department of Athletics has also received, and you know what, the Department of Athletics receives not only in addition to my support and services, but also the counseling services here provide support to the athletes as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what are some of those early experiences that you had working with the athletes there? What were some of those initial mental health issues that you saw as soon as you started in that position?
So I want to be careful as to not to really speak specifically to this population and thinking and keeping in mind as far as their,
Right.
HIPAA and confidentiality. I'm speaking in a more general sense as far as issues that athletes face. And I guess if we maybe gear it more as it relates to, I'll speak to even Black athletes and Black women. So issues as it relates to self-esteem, self-confidence. Many people may, and this is also with students that, however they may identify across the spectrum of identity as far as gender, that you would see, and while you may see them and they're in the best shape of their lives and they even may be performing very well, but athletes can feel a lot of pressure and it can really impact their self-confidence and their self-esteem. And so one thing that can happen is that stress can even be normalized among athletes because they have very rigorous schedules. And so so sometimes people may not always grasp or be able to catch that athlete, is needing some greater support because they've normalized stress or being in distress. And they may not always they may not always seek help or support. So we really try to offer psychoeducation around what anxiety, depression, if a person may be experiencing, or also perfectionism can be a major issue as well, where you feel like you want to just be exact, you want to get it just right. And so just really understanding and embracing the fact that you're human and that mistakes are inevitable, that they will happen. But one of the things that I really try to focus on, and I just really want to emphasize that winning is an inside job. And so winning is on the inside and it's a mindset. And so I say, even on your worst day, even if something doesn't work out, even if you have a bad game, bad play, something, whatever, you are still winning because it's a mindset, and it's really being able to understand there are also so many other components that contribute to who you are. That's just not only in your production alone, and what the results look like. So I would say that's one of the things that I really emphasize in my work, and I've also observed in just athletes in general.
And self-esteem is a big issue for Black women, whether it's sports or not. And so I know one way athletes try to take out their stress is on the playing field, is on the court. So you have to be able to build trust with anyone to break through to try to help them. So how do you build trust with Black female athletes when you're approaching them to help?
So one thing that I do and that I always keep in mind is that, again, we are not a monolith, and I just don't make assumptions, and I allow myself to be curious. And one thing that I share with the athletes I work with, I say, while I have a PhD and that may be my credential, there's one expert in the room, and it's not me. The expert in the room is the person I'm sitting with. They are the expert over their life. They know what they are feeling. Well, they may not always be connected to or in touch with what they're feeling. But what I can do is I can help them as far as being able to help explore what's going on, what's happening, even in certain questions I may ask. So I just really, and also that's something I do to help empower them to see that they have greater
Yeah.
agency and what they have to say matters. And so just, everybody's an individual. So I'm very careful even in making generalizations, as you know, people come just from their different experiences and perspectives, and
Yeah.
that's how we work and learn and explore and create
Mm-hmm.
goals together.
And I think that's relatable too, because as a athlete, you know, you're getting coached all the time. So why not coached on your
Mhm.
mental health, well-being, you know, just the same way you are with your physical. And I also appreciate what you're saying. It's just like, we're not all the same. Like, we're three different Black women, you know, sitting right here on this phone, have all had life
Mhm.
experiences. And you can't generalize, but I am curious, like, are there any like ways that you approach just like the competence or the cultural competence, or just the pieces that make you different from as a Black therapist with these Black athletes? Are there any things that you can pick up, or you feel like you're able to connect a bit more because of that?
Well, I'm Black,
That's it.
you know, and I have my
Mm-hmm.
own experience. And I think that also my work, I have participated in my own therapy, actually, I participated in my own analysis where I've been able to explore my experiences, how I have um, any sort of trauma or different things that have impacted me, microaggressions, discrimination. I mean, you know, I'm able to. I'm a tool, but I
Mm-hmm.
also do my own work. While also I participate in various different trainings, as well as being it. I just have to say, being at Howard is huge. You know, the staff here at in Howard University Counseling Services has been transformational, even in my ability to really understand my identity even further, but also to expand my professionalism, where I'm able to consult on a regular basis as far as if there are any different challenges that I'm having, but also the trainings that we're exposed to and participate in regularly. So it's just been
Yeah.
invaluable.
I mean, it sounds like community to me, you know. At the end of
Oh,
the
yeah.
day, like I said, we're all different, but I think community are like, that's one of the tools that we can use for healing, you know, just being in a place with
Mhm.
like-minded people that look like you. I think that's healing, and why it's so important for like Black females to have Black coaches, Black
Mm.
Yeah.
coaches, you know. I think that makes a big difference too. So,
I mean, representation is
mm-hmm.
everything, and being in a place where I am represented, but also I'm careful in the fact that, you know, the Black experience is not singular in any way. You know, we're incredibly diverse, and so, but just learning more about how to as a Black woman, how to use my identity also to learn, and there are ways in which I can help a person to disclose or connect, but also even furthermore to just be further curious and to learn more about, you know, the person I have that I'm
Yeah.
working with.
Definitely. Any thoughts about like current events, right? So we see the different Black women who are speaking up for themselves and advocating for their own mental health and well-being. You know, Simone Biles, the way she did it looked different than what Naomi Osaka did,
Mm-hmm.
which is what Serena
Mm-hmm.
Williams did, which is different than what, you know, Allison Felix had to do for herself. What are you seeing
Mm-hmm.
and feeling in major media that kind of relates to what you're experiencing with student athletes you work with?
So, you know, one thing I'll speak to is the article I want to cite from the written by Dr. Izen
Okay.
Ofebu. She worked in academics and support and advising for college athletes at North Carolina State University. And let me tell you the title of her article. It is really excellent, that she wrote. It's titled, Aren't You Here to Help Me? Examining the Role of Identity as Black
Mhm.
Women Athletes. Um, and So she talked about navigating relationships and creating community at predominantly white institutions. But one of the things that she was also speaking to that I thought was just really powerful, and that she used critical race feminism to better understand the role of identity in Black women athletes. And to explain critical race feminism, it's different. Well, it's an intervention of both critical race theory and feminist theory. And hold on one second, let me scroll down and read to you. Um, it, it provides a critical lens when you're looking at the intersection of racial and gender oppression. And so one of the things that she said that you have to look at Black identity is that one of the central tenets of critical race theory is Black men. And then one of the central tenets of the other of critical race is hold on. Let me start over. Critical race feminists, this is a quote from her work. It says, critical race feminists contend feminist theory often centers the lives and problems of white women, while critical race theory often centers the lives and problems of Black men. Critical race feminism centers Black women and other women of color, while acknowledging the experiences of women of color are not a monolith. And this is a direct quote from her article that she cited from 2007, a work in 2007. So one of the things that she also said is that we can't constantly we have to just be very careful in the ways that Black women can be marginalized, but also criticized, especially if, let's say, they decide to take time off, or they decide to take time for their mental health. They can be they're criticized. So it's almost like they're only celebrated when they're winning, or that they've accomplished something. But it's like the moment that they do something to take time for themselves, that they are humanized in any way, we then are very critical of them. They can become scapegoated in some ways. And I just think it's something that we really need to recognize that happens in media.
Yeah.
Yes, that's most
I think
is that. Oh, sorry. Most of the stories that you see about female athletes, about the struggle that they go through. Just thinking of Sha'Carri Richardson. You know, we focus more on her suspension versus what was really going on with her life that got her where she was in that place where she made that choice. And now look at her thriving. So she's thriving. You don't hear stories about that as much as it was when she was in trouble. So I definitely understand that.
And they're often just put under a microscope. And so the thing about it is, it's like, oh, can we only be there for the win? Can we only be there when, oh, things are great and they've crossed the finish line in the front? But then when they are deciding to really advocate for themselves, to advocate for their mental health, to pursue a family, to expand their family, then there's this great criticism. Or even the ways we look at just the colorism that exists, the criticism of their bodies, and the lack of appreciation for just all the depth and diversity that exists. I mean, that's something that's a real issue that needs to be addressed.
And you, thank you for bringing up Sha'Carri too, Danielle, because I think what we're seeing with her, she's been pushing back on, like, no, I didn't. Y'all put that on me that I was a failure, I had these mistakes, and you all highlighted that, but I'm still here, you know, and that is like, that's pushing against that narrative that I'm only in the spotlight when I win. But what is winning, right? Like, winning is you know, showing up, being happy, being joyful, you know, taking care of yourself. Those are wins too. So I really appreciate that, of just like redefining what a win is. Yeah, go.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. No. I didn't mean to talk over you. Go ahead.
That was pretty much it. It's just that identity piece of, like, you're more than just the athlete. You are so much more, and how you get outside of that is by pushing against those very same narratives that are out there. Just like, you're only as good as when you win for me, or when you make me
perform. That's right. You know, and it's almost like because somebody wants to take time to support their mental health, they're then considered, oh, the mental toughness, it doesn't exist, or their lack of athleticism, or they're not a teammate. And I just
Yeah.
think that's ridiculous. You know, you have to really look at and respect
Yeah.
the whole person and all the different parts that exist to them. And it's just so important that we just don't split them off. And I think that that's one thing that can happen, especially, well, I say with Black athletes, where we only just look at them through this narrow lens with ignoring all these other parts
Yeah.
that add to who they are.
Yes, because for many Black athletes, we know they're doing this to get out of whatever situation that they were in. Many Black athletes that we grew up with in our community, they're playing sports to, support their families or to get out of poverty. And it's already enough pressure from the family. So when can we take a break? When can we take time off? And then the guilt that you feel, it kind of sends you down a slippery slope. And that's why a lot of Black athletes quit or decide to, move on from the sport, because they're not being able to enjoy and relax when they need to. It's not all about the sport, and you learn that as you get older. Monique, us as former athletes, even with injuries or just different things happening, that's innate, that's in you to be that athlete, but you do have to be able to pick yourself up and not listen to everything on the outside. And it's really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we also have to look at the internalized colorism that even happens within our group. You know, I would say as Black athletes, or as Black people. So there's the colorism. There's this. I'm gonna read something from a quote from her article. She said, she mentions Andy, who identifies as biracial, got comments about her skin color, as many gymnasts tan to avoid looking pale during competition. Her white teammates would say to her, Andy, I wish I was tan as you. Andy believed they made such comments because in their eyes, she checked the box off as more of a white girl than a Black girl. While her teammates thought this was a compliment, they did not fully understand the historical context that made their comments harmful. She recalled her reaction after hearing this comment one too many times. I said, all it takes is 100 years of oppression and slavery, and then you'll be tan. But so this is an example in a white context, right? But then also, there could be other examples where a person may be considered they're not as athletic or not as dominant, let's say because they have lighter eyes, they have lighter skin, the change in the texture of their hair. So just there's so many different things that can happen, the microaggressions that go unaddressed, or even that are given as compliments that are actually quite offensive and harmful.
Yeah. No, the stereotypes for sure are, I think, things that play into, one's psyche and everything, because it could be, like you said, between colorism, which I was hoping you would bring that into it, because I know that was part of your early work too, of just like how that affects one's self-esteem and that self-confidence. And especially for young athletes, I think it's important to get a hold of that early, so that as you get older, it's easier for you to overcome those things, or just not even allow it to affect you. But like, are there tools that you try to introduce in your work to either help athletes be more than, like, help them recognize that they're more than just the athlete, or how to deal with, different challenges that do come up in their performance? Like, tools are you using and suggesting or recommending for them?
So one of the things that I use motivational interviewing in my work. And so motivational interviewing, the premises of motivational interviewing include autonomy, acceptance, adaptation, empathy, and evocation. So what that can do, but I use motivational interviewing as well as other principles from I was trained actually at Howard University Counseling Services that had primarily a psychodynamic theoretical orientation, but also I've integrated humanistic principles, cognitive behavioral therapy. So a range of different things that I choose from when I'm working with athletes to really listen to hear their story, but also to help them see, wait a minute, I ask them about their why. What is your why? Tell me what brought you here. How did you become? What are some of the things that help shape you? What are some of the experiences that help drive you? While also, I really target their self-talk. What are you saying to yourself? Is your self-talk critical? Is it negative? And just being able to reshape your self-talk in a way that is more positive based. I think that's powerful. And also seeing that people can say what they want, but that they don't define you. You define you. You define you. What are you saying to yourself? What are your actions? What are they looking like? And how do you serve you? And taking care of you. I think that's so critical and important. And realizing just because you may look a certain way or people may perceive you to be a certain way, that's their perception. But you are the person who you define your story, you define your existence, and know that you have that power. So just really helping support them in their agency and know that they are agents of change and doing what they want, how they choose.
I love that.
So just because you have long nails doesn't make you
That
ghetto.
part. That part.
And work. I can speak to just living internationally. I thought that there were things about myself that I would have to change to fit in. And that's not the case when you become more self-aware, affirming, and knowing who you are and confident in yourself. So that's powerful work for you to be doing that for college students, because some of that work doesn't start until women get it. So that is amazing. I'm wondering, do you ever, oh, go ahead. You had something buzzing. I see.
I just noticed, actually, I just want to give a shout out to someone. It's speaking about persons that are agents of change and that support the athletes. Linson Willis was our director of sports medicine here at Howard. He's now moved on, but he was just phenomenal. So just really having persons that are part of the staff that really care about this support, that acknowledge the students' diversity, support their mental health. I'm telling you, it's major. And the students can feel it. They feel nurtured. They feel valued, and they feel appreciated.
What I was going to ask, do you involve other stakeholders on campus? Do you involve families in your therapeutic processes?
So, what the thing about it is that it takes a village. And so there are different people. And one of the things I can say about the coaching staff here at Howard, which has been great, is that they've been very open and supportive in the administration to mental health, but also being curious and open to criticism or constructive feedback. Okay, what is it that we need to do? And how can we galvanize more support? Oh, thank you, Linson. Linson is the GOAT. He just said, I'm the GOAT. Now, Linson, you are the GOAT. He literally, just is absolutely amazing. But I lost my train of thought.
Medicine or a trainer, I know a lot of them are therapists too, because
they're everything. They are everything. And they're there to nurture and support the students. So it means so much. And so parents, I welcome, of course, students have confidentiality, and if they give consent to include other people in their treatment or in their work, it's definitely welcomed. And I see the real Dr. Britt, Dr. Caro. We trained together at Howard University Counseling. No, not Howard, at Howard University in the counseling psychology program. She's somebody to follow and doing great work.
Hello.
Well, thank you.
And she's a licensed psychologist in the field.
Dr. Britt, thank you for joining.
He has really created some amazing people. Just hearing your energy and just listening to you. I'm
Thank you.
The work and your story, just all the steps that you've taken to get to where you are. It's definitely from my city, so it's nice to see.
Thank you.
For sure. And I'm just super grateful to just hear like your own journey. I think when you started out and just talking about like what has happened in your own life has inspired you to keep moving forward and just doing this work. And I really believe, and we like to say like that giving is not just your money, but that time, that you're putting in, hearing like your
Yeah.
testimony,
Thank you.
like your actual life experiences make the world a difference, because it helps encourage people to say, like, you know what, I can move forward. I can do these things. I have the network of people when I do need help, like who to go to and who to ask. So all of that, like you said, it's a village, it's a team, and I really believe that sports kind of creates that atmosphere. Even those that don't play on team sports, I think just that atmosphere of team and working toward that goal and evaluating yourself, like that's all part of the journey, which is a long game, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. And just overcoming shame, or this idea that there's something wrong or there's something about you. And that's, I mean, so one of the ways that people may compensate is with success, with the grind, being addicted to the grind, feeling like they always got to hustle. And one thing that's just so freeing is to realize you're
yeah,
good. You're good as you are, and just to really give yourself grace. And you don't always have to grind, and you don't always have to hustle, and just to know that you're enough and you're
yeah,
deserving of care.
yeah.
That's powerful.
It is. And we need the language to all of this too. I'm so glad we're moving into the space where it's not as taboo to talk about health. It's not as taboo to say that I need help. Um, because now having that language, that's the power right there. When you thing and really work towards healing and being better. And like I said, I just want to keep emphasizing, like, it's a journey. I my career, many people might know, like, my career ended in injury because I tore my ACL for the second time. I didn't know that anxiety and stress and depression was something that I was experiencing until years later. Like, years later, how that continued to manifest in so many different ways. So therapy, definitely helps. My faith helps. Having people, Danny, all the way in the Middle East, I'm like, sis, I'm going through it. Like, just a minute. But those types of things, and having that team of people around you, I think make the world a difference as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things in my dissertation I noticed, that it was difficult with Black women to relate to experiences of stress because stress becomes normalized. So you realize, dang, wait a minute, am I
right,
depressed? Or because you
right.
can get used to the struggle, or feeling like this is what you're supposed to go through. So I just thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that and speaking to that, as it could just really be freeing to people to see that, things don't always have to be
Yeah,
that
the
way.
way we were raised doesn't have to be the way we raise our children or the way we maneuver the future. Because, conversations weren't had in the generations before our parents' generations. Those conversations weren't had, and we were raised not to ask too many questions. Just get up, do what you have to do. Why are you over there crying?
Yeah.
We weren't really raised.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
now, I can have conversations with my mother now with no problem, but it just takes that journey to go through your own journey, see, that you can open up, and you can get your parents to open up too.
And and one thing I think is just important, our parents, it was protective for them to be silent at times, or to not ask questions, so that they were able to keep their job or put food on the table, or those different things. So we are evolving as a society, and we are continuing to evolve. We are continuing to fight, to face and oppose, and just show that, what, wait a minute, now we can allow some greater space
Yeah.
for our humanity, because we
Yeah.
deserve that.
I'm grateful for the evolution of this all, and new generation that's a lot more more boisterous, and that we were even. But it's like, we need that to keep pushing against silence. And I think that's the thing. It's like, we can't be silenced. We can't succumb to the strong Black woman,
Yeah.
and things like that, because it takes away, like you said, the humanity. It takes away our vulnerability. It takes from just being able to rest. And that's really where I am. It's like, no, let's make sure that we have this conversation now and say, like, it's okay. It's okay not be
Yeah,
okay. It's okay. I mean,
that's
to
right.
check on your strong friends, all things. I'm grateful that we can create this community within sport too, to make sure that we're all good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the end of Mental Health Awareness Month, but any other thoughts that you have as we're moving outside? Because I don't want it to ever just end in May. Obviously, this is something that's, I think Linson said it in more than one conversation, you know, and more than one person. Like, this is an ongoing thing. So what
Mm-hmm.
final thoughts do you have just as we're closing out Mental Health Awareness Month?
I just tell people just to remember that to winning is on the inside. And I also want to share that there are a couple of resources or even persons to follow. Just think about, who do you follow on social media? Who are you paying attention to? How are you feeding yourself, your mind, and all of that thing? And so these are
Okay.
some of my faves. I follow Dr. Thema Bryant.
Yes.
She is amazing. The director of she is the president of the American Psychological Association. And I mean, she just drops nothing but just jewels all day. I mean, her ministry is just, her platform is revolutionary. And so I would encourage you to follow her, Dr. Thema. And then Dr. Alfie Breland Noble has the Acoma Project, that where you can, there's a bracket where you could, I think you receive up to 5 free sessions through the Acoma Project. If you can follow, you can see their page. So there are a range of different resources that are out here in the community. So I encourage people just to get connected. Psychology Today, depending upon whatever state that you're in, if you're looking for a therapist, depending upon whatever resources that you have, whether it's cash pay, you want to use insurance, you could check and see. And then there are also ways that you can filter who you're looking for as far as gender, identity, so on and so forth. So I just encourage people, just get connected and to listen to yourself and to trust your mind
Do
and
you
your
have
thoughts.
any cool resources in DC? If someone is in DC right now and anywhere in the community in DC that they could go other than Howard University's campus, or do they have services where people can, you know, who aren't attending the school could come into the counseling services? I know some colleges do that.
So not I'm not aware of the colleges. I'm from For the most part, I understand the colleges, they have mental health counseling centers for students, for enrolled students. However, I know if you're in DC, 35K Street offers both psychiatry services and therapy. However, there can be wait lists. So I think Psychology Today is a really good resource. No matter which state you're in, you can look and see what's available. And there are a range of different, they're really good providers that are out here and that are providing great treatment and work. And I just would encourage people to get connected and to know that it's there. And also, whatever state that you're in, for example, like the DC Behavioral Health, you can see there's some different places that may offer low fee services and so on and so forth. But whatever state that you're in, look at the behavioral health that the state offers and the different resources and programs if a person is looking for more free and reduced rate. Also, 988 is a mental health crisis line. If you are in crisis, you need support, and you don't know who to call 988. That is an incredible resource that can also help you get connected to more
Sure.
support.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I know with Psychology Today, that's like one of my favorite sites. Bookmarked everything. I found my therapist on Psychology Today. So many articles, like everything, is on there. So definitely, that's a good resource too. So thank you for dropping those too.
Of course.
And I want to say, we usually do these buzzer beater questions. We didn't put this
Uh-huh.
on your prep because it's got to
Oh, Lord have mercy. You know, I don't watch
not.
TV, so I don't really watch that much
These
TV.
will be personal questions.
Yeah,
Oh,
all perfect. Just off the cuff, first thought that came to
okay.
mind. So it's gonna be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so
Oh,
5
Lord.
people that you would invite to your cookout,
My mom.
alive or ancestor.
Oh, alive or ancestor. Oh, my granddad, of course. My granddad, Paul Coles. My mom, my dad, my sisters. I'm going to use my sisters in plural in my my family.
Oh,
That's my husband and daughter.
you,
So I cheated. I added a whole rack of people.
all right, that's cool. All right, so for movies, books, artists, or podcasts, I know you gave us some resources, but it doesn't have to be mental health related. That for you, you love 5 art pieces: movie, book, artist, podcast.
I love Dr. Thema's podcast.
3 more.
Oh, a movie. 3 more. I
Yes.
have to do 4.
We got Tama's podcast, Dr. Tama's podcast,
Uh-huh.
music, book, artist, movie. Your favorites. Don't think too hard. Come on now.
Okay, sorry. I mean, Jay-Z. I'm a fan. I've been a fan. I've been a fan of Jay-Z before everybody was on Jay-Z.
Without Jay-Z.
There's another book that I'm just starting to read, and it's Rest is Resistance. And then lastly, let me see. I got something in here. What's another podcast? I'm sorry. I know this is not supposed to be so long. It's supposed to be super fast.
What's your favorite movie?
Yes.
My favorite movie? Thank God it's Friday. Friday! One of my favorites.
You, Danny.
Yeah, so what are 3 fashion items in your rotation?
Oh, my fanny. I love my fanny pack. I wear it all the time. I'll say my bag for my laptop.
All right.
There we go. And you said 3 fashion items? What else? I don't know. We'll say this right here. My where I keep my lip glosses popping. You know, my lip gloss.
Gotta have that. So,
My accessories.
yes. So what are 2 of your favorite places in the world?
I'll start with home. I've learned to make home my place, my comfort zone. Home and the beach.
Okay.
I love the beach. And beach anywhere. Take me to clear water.
All right. And you kind of gave us this because I loved your kind of final words there. But one thing you would tell a Black female athlete today, one thing.
You're everything. Trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you got this. Nobody can tell you any different. And just and you gotta really be your best cheerleader. Seriously. Be your number one. And continue to tell yourself, support yourself, and nurture yourself along the way. And know that you belong and you don't have to perform for anybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I felt that in my soul.
Yes.
So much. I'm honored to be on this call with you, and you've shared so many things. You've helped a lot of people just popping in and leaving messages in the chat. We'll definitely post this video on our page if you want to continue to share it, because you definitely dropped a lot of wisdom today on this very last day of Mental Health Awareness Month. And like Monique said, we don't want it to end today, so hopefully we can continue to have more conversations with you.
Thank you. This was my privilege. The honor was mine, for real. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Peace.
All right. You guys heard it from Dr. Lisa Daniels. Go on the page and follow her right now. Shero out.
All right. Shero out.